Hello, today's story is Percy's Bumpy Ride. I love Percy the Park Keeper stories, and I've got a really exciting challenge idea at the end of today's story. Percy's Bumpy Ride. Percy the Park Keeper was hard at work. Bang, 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 squeak, 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 tap, tap, tappity tap, bang, bang, ouch! For 3 whole days, sounds like these had been coming from Percy's workshop. What was he doing? Percy's friends, the animals who lived in the park, could only guess. I think he's making a bird table, said a squirrel. It could be a park bench, said a rabbit. It might be, but nobody heard what the hedgehog thought it might be. At that moment there came the roar of an engine. The workshop doors burst open, and above the noise of the engine they heard Percy's voice. Make way! Make way! With a great clanking sound and a lot of smoke, Percy emerged from the workshop, sitting on top of a very strange machine. Percy pushed a switch, and the engine coughed and spluttered into silence. Well, said Percy, what do you think? I know what I think, said the fox. I think, what is it? This is my new lawnmower, said Percy, patting the machine. I've got terribly behind with cutting grass. My old mower's too slow, but with this I'll just fly around the park. Will it really fly? asked the hedgehog. It's a lawnmower, chuckled Percy. The propeller on top is to fan me with cool air while I'm mowing. Percy turned a key and the engine clanked into life again. Come on, he said. Let's try it out. All aboard. With everyone sitting on his new mower, Percy began to chug across the grass. It works, shouted Percy as he admired the stripe of closely cut grass behind the mower. Let's try it a bit faster. Percy pushed a lever, but what happened next took everyone by surprise. The engine roared and the propeller whirled faster and faster. Then, to everyone's astonishment, Percy's mower began to lift into the air. Oh, it does fly, squealed the hedgehog. You're so clever, Percy. I wouldn't say that, said Percy, as he struggled with the mower's controls. He was beginning to think that the propeller was not such a good idea. Oh. At first, the flying mower seemed to be deciding all by itself where to go, but after a while Percy found that by pushing and pulling levers, he could make the mower go where he wanted. For the animals, it was very exciting. Only the ducks and the owl had ever been this high up in the air before. Suddenly, the badger called out, Tree ahead, Percy! Thank you, said Percy. He pulled hard on a lever and just managed to swoop over the tall tree, mowing some leaves as he passed. Oh, wow, look at how high up they are. As the mower climbed high into the sky, the animals were amazed by what they could see below them. Look at those sheep, said one of the rabbits. They've made a shape like a hand. I think they're waving to us. I doubt it, said Percy. I shouldn't think they've even noticed us. I think they have noticed us, said the rabbit. Look, look. The sheep had now arranged themselves into the shape of a face. It looked very much like a face they all knew. Everyone waved to the sheep. Percy wished he could join them. He didn't realise how quickly his wish would be granted. Whether the spinning propeller on top of the mower had begun to feel dizzy, or whether it had just had enough of turning round and round, no one could be sure. But suddenly it stopped, and just as suddenly so did the mower's engine. Oh, that's better, said the fox. It's nice and quiet. It's quiet, said Percy, but it's not nice. We're going to crash. Down went the mower, and down went the mower's passengers. It's such a pity you don't have wings, said the owl. Oh, isn't it, said Percy, as he shot past her. The sheep below looked worried. They began to run all over the field. Get out of the way, shouted Percy, but the sheep didn't. Instead, they huddled together right under where Percy and the animals were falling. Then Percy realised what the sheep were doing. Now, instead of the hard ground below him, Percy looked down to see a soft, springy, woolly blanket. The badger was the first to land. As each one landed, they bounced on the soft, woolly backs of the sheep. Even Percy, the heaviest of all, bounced 3 times and was safely down. Everyone said a big thank you to the sheep. They laughed and said they were very glad to help. They were only sorry that they couldn't save Percy's mower. Percy looked to where the mower had crash-landed in a tree. I won't be using that again, he said. What will you do? Said the hedgehog. The grass in the park is still very long. Percy sighed and scratched his head. Then he began to smile. Sheep, said Percy, how would you like to visit a field of lovely, long, tasty green grass? Ah, the sheep are going to mow the fields in the park. How super. So, for today's challenge, we're going to try and make our own parachute / flying machine. Okay, it could be both. So, to make this, we're going to need a toilet tube, some tape. Sellotape will be fine. I'm using this tape because it shows up better on the camera. Some string, and ideally some big tissue paper. But I know not everyone has big tissue paper, so we experimented with wrapping paper as well, and wrapping paper does work. Not quite as well as tissue paper, but it does work quite well. I love you too, honey. Now, last time I used tissue paper because that's really light, so I knew that would work really well. But I'm going to try with wrapping paper because I think more of you will have wrapping paper at home. So what I've done is I've got a big square of wrapping paper. I did that by folding a triangle shape across and then cutting along where the edge of the paper met the side, and that's given us a giant square. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it in half the other way, like this. And actually, if we want these stars on the outside, I think I have to do my diagonal folds this way round. We need to fold horizontally both ways as well. So, all the way across here. And then all the way across here. Right. Once we've done that, we're going to double these corner folds in. So we push the corners in together so that all 4 corners of our square meet. It should make a cross shape out of these, and then we can squash all of that down. And it should look a bit like a smaller square, but inside you've got 2 flappy legs, and then on the other side you've got another of these. So once we've done that, I'm going to take this top flap, fold it all the way down to the bottom, and then fold it back up to the middle like that, and then one more fold over the top, and I think another one as well, just to make it a bit tougher, because this bit is where we'll attach the string. Then I'll flip it all over and do the same on the other side. Okay, next bit, see how you can open up the edges? Well, if we open up this side, and what we want to do is fold the edge points into that middle crease.
Oh, that's nice.
Thanks, honey, I'm glad that's nice. Fold that edge into the middle crease as well.
In my amazing nursery bag, so that's it. And come to.
And then once we've done that, we should be able to open it up. Oh, it's going to be really tricky because it's big and it's light. And what I've folded that big sticky out edge over itself. And if I do that on the other side, so bring those points back into the middle. Whoop. So if you just out the way of the camera for me, sweetie. Thank you. And fold this side in as well. What we should end up with is a bit of a box shape. If you need to see more in-depth instructions of this, this is actually instructions for an origami basket. I've just not put the handle into it. So you'll be able to find instructions. I'll try and find some and post a link in the description of the video to some origami basket instructions for you as well. So once we've done that, we need to punch 4 holes into this. Now the way that I've made my holes is I got a piece of wood to lean against. I happen to have some of these little sharp pointy things that are used for hammering nails into coping around laminate floor, but a screwdriver will do just the same job. And I've got a hammer. Pop this against here. Pop that so that it goes through as many layers of paper as possible, because that'll make it a bit stronger.
Ooh, I like that.
Couple of knots.
I like
and it's
that.
gone all the way through.
Oh, I like
Do that on all 4 corners. The other way, if you've not got these things, is a sharp pencil and a piece of Play-Doh behind the paper will normally make these holes as well. Okay, now we're ready to attach our string. So we need, I started with 1 long piece of string and I tried to cut it in half, and then I'm going to cut it in half again. And feed 1 bit through each side, or through each hole that we've just made.
Okay, here we are. So, put each piece of string through the hole and tie it in place.
There is my paper side with the strings. Next we need to make a basket to put our toys in. So, basket, nice and simple. Toilet paper, tape, scissors. First thing we want to do is we want to cut to about halfway down the paper, down the toilet tube on each side.
Look.
And then down the other sides as well, so it's sort of like cutting it into quarters. Okay. Open it out and fold those quarters in on themselves. And that should make a nice basket shape so we can put toys or weights inside the basket. And we're just going to secure the bottom of it with tape. So there we have the bottom of our basket all taped up. And then I'm going to use that same trick to punch some holes.
I like to play with the ladybird and koala.
Right. So 1 piece of string through each hole on the basket. Are you ready? Shall we try with your hedgehogs in?
Oh, yeah.
Are we going to try all 3 or just 1?
All 3.
All 3 hedgehogs. Let's see if it can take them. Are you ready? Great work! Do you want to try and do the hairdryer?
No.
Okay, so we'll try 20 pence. See if it's strong enough to carry 20 pence. Woof! It runs away a bit quicker, doesn't it? But it definitely flew up in the air still. What about if we had 10 pence? We've got 30 pence in there now. Do you think it can take it? Or is it too heavy?
It's too heavy.
Oh, it's a bit too heavy, isn't it? So this has been a weekend project for me and Sophie, and we had lots of fun with it. We're still playing with it, using the hairdryer quite a lot. The parachute made out of wrapping paper did work. It worked a little bit as a hot air balloon, but as soon as you put anything else in it, it became too heavy. So we found that the tissue paper worked better for a hot air balloon, but the wrapping paper one did make a really good parachute, and we certainly enjoyed using that a lot. I hope you enjoy making yours, and hopefully you'll have as much fun as Sophie and I have.